In the heart of Lisbon, a journey begins. This is no ordinary voyage but a road paved with determination and hope. It's the road to Geneva. They are few, we are billions. Lake Geneva tourist site Bains des Paquis. The journey from Lisbon to Geneva was more than a physical trek, it was a pilgrimage of purpose. As the Portuguese group arrived in the heart of Switzerland, in the shadow of the United Nations, the air buzzed with anticipation. The Portuguese contingent, united by their shared resolve, prepared to march alongside activists, scientists, and medical professionals from around the world.
Olá, boa tarde a todos. Diretamente de Geneva, da Suíça, dia 1 de junho de 2024. Estamos hoje aqui presentes para uma mega manifestação que vai acontecer em frente à OMS para dizermos não ao Tratado pandêmico da OMS, que nos vai tirar os direitos absolutos dos países da soberania. Temos aqui vários portugueses. Vamos juntar-nos com mais portugueses e para dizer não à OMS, a este tratado. É uma organização, o Tratado Pandémico basicamente é para dar poderes absolutos à OMS de poderem fechar à hora que nos quiserem e obrigação de vacinas para os países que fazem parte da OMS. E para haver um controle, na verdade, que isto é tudo parte de um controle da nova ordem mundial e da Agenda 2030. E, portanto, estamos aqui hoje para nos reunir com todos os irmãos de todo o mundo, vieram de toda a parte do mundo. A organização chama-se We Are the Change, que começou nos Estados Unidos, e com a organização Road to Geneva, que vieram de vários países da Europa de carro, para se encontrar hoje aqui na Praça das Nações Unidas, de onde vamos começar a nossa manifestação. Isto é uma união, pela primeira vez na história mundial, todos os países do mundo, desde médicos, advogados, juízes, enfermeiros e outras áreas, para dizer não à OMS, para travarmos este tratado pandémico. No palco vamos ter 52 pessoas a falar, médicos conceituados a nível mundial. Robert Malone, que é uma das pessoas principais da linha da frente, que luta desde o princípio contra esta obrigação desta dita vacina, que não é vacina, e outros advogados conhecidos, Philip Cruz, que é o advogado suíço que está connosco desde o princípio, e vários assistentes de vários países do mundo, como os Estados Unidos e o Canadá. Vamos ter pessoas do convoio também dos Estados Unidos, dos truckers, dos camionistas. Vamos ter presentes pessoas da Austrália, da Nova Zelândia, do Japão, do Brasil, de vários países do mundo, de onde a gente se vai encontrar todos hoje para estarmos presentes na OMS. Da minha posição, já sou tanto ativista há 4 anos, começámos com manifestações em Lisboa e não parámos até hoje. Fiz parte da organização também da Worldwide Demonstration for Freedom, depois fiz parte da organização da Global Lookout, We Are Ready, e agora estou nesta organização mundial da We Are Change, We Are the Change, e pronto, e já nesta caminhada há alguns anos, e não vamos parar, e a vitória será nossa.
As the sun rises over Geneva, the energy is palpable. From our meeting point, we begin our march to the UN Square, united in our resolve to stand for freedom and autonomy. Together, we step forward, ready to make our voices heard. The Pandemic Treaty aims to unify the global response to pandemics, centralizing guidelines at the World Health Organization. But this idea has generated controversy. Doctors, scientists, and civil rights advocates argue that centralizing public health decisions could be dangerous. In addition to medical concerns, there are human rights concerns. The global rally titled Road to Geneva, They Are Few, We Are Billions, brought these concerns to light with people from all corners of the world. The demonstration brought to light a crucial debate. The decision on the pandemic treaty is still ongoing. While the debate continues, one thing is certain. The voice of the people is essential to shaping a future where health and autonomy go hand in hand. So what are the main concerns with the pandemic treaty? Each country has its particularities. A single set of guidelines may not be suitable for everyone and may ignore critical local contexts. Centralization can lead to a delayed and ineffective response in certain contexts, especially in countries with varied health systems. In addition to medical concerns, there are human rights concerns. Imposing universal guidelines can violate the autonomy of nations and the rights of each country's citizens.
Today, we stand united in Geneva before the United Nations and the World Health Organization to question the erosion of our individual rights, our freedom, and the sovereignty of our nations. We must ask, are these sacrifices being made for the financial gain of a few who are tied to the WHO's medical policies? The pandemic has seen lockdowns and widespread fear, which may have benefited the powerful rather than the people. What can we, the people, do? We must act now, join this movement, and recognize that we are the solution. Together, we are the change. Let us unite and reclaim our rights and freedom.
Welcome to Geneva, welcome to Switzerland. You are in the international city who is the capital of the world with the most UN agency and specialized programs. You can see here the World Intellectual Property, the International Telecommunication who makes AI for good. WIPO is doing a treaty to patent all the life of the earth. They just signed a week ago. You have the World Trade Organization, the United Nations. I worked for 2 UN Open Days, so I can speak about WHO, ILO, because the mechanism of WHO and the United Nations is completely corrupted. And I don't recognize any mechanism that what is happening today, and we did a declaration that people have forbid us to put here over there with Rainer Füllmich and which are free Rainer Füllmich, not only Assange. Yeah, so we have analyzed the texts with Virginie de Aragon-Richard, who cannot be there. I represent 16 lawyers in the world from South America, from South Africa, from the whole world. They could not be here. And we have made a declaration that you can find on the website Honest, on ICIC Law from Rainer Füllmich, and on IPSE. So you can go and see the banners. Everything is cropped in synthetic. So we did a declaration on 19th of May. It was on Radio 74 in French and English. And we can, I will tell you the key points. It's 7 pages. It is legally argumented. And the first point, there is a violation within the United Nations of its own instruments, of the Charter of the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or all the covenants of ECOSOC, of the WHO Constitution itself does not allow WHO to take power and have transfer of power. The WHO Constitution and the International Health Regulation proclaim sovereignty, human rights, and they're violating their own rights. And now they are violating our Constitution and our rights. So we have analyzed this point. The nations and the individuals are not represented at the United Nations. Okay, so transfer of power is incompatible. Transfer of power and competence from a state or from individual is impossible. It is incompatible with our WHO, the Constitution, because we have never given our consent that WHO would take power. So within that, it is already falling against we should change our state constitution to allow what they're doing. You see what is a problem? And the last problem is that nobody's mentioning it here, and I wonder if there are not some people with conflicts of interest within our movement who are censoring Füllmich, who are censoring me to put my posters and not be part of some groups. So what I'm saying, there's a massive conflict of interest in the United Nations, contrary to member states' representativity of people. The UN and WHO are directed by interest, financial interest. They made loads of money for the last 3 years. You realize this? Yeah. So it is incompatible with our proper rights. And this is, if you take only that, everything that the UN, WHO are doing, signing, adopting, etc. Thus, no international legal instrument can confer on the WHO Secretariat, including the WHO Director General, and I would say the whole United Nations Secretary, Director General, Security Council, the power to direct, order, alter, or otherwise prescribe domestic laws or policies of any party, or to mandate or otherwise impose any requirements that parties take specific actions, such as ban or accept travelers, impose vaccination mandates, or therapeutic or diagnostic measures that have never been validated, or implemented lockdown that is not in the International Health Regulation 2005. So you understand that? Yeah. So therefore, member states can no longer be bound to the WHO Constitution when private partners guide this institution and the UN, who has our president, that as it stands, any action adoption signed, undertaken through WHO or the UN on behalf of member states and their population, us, will be contrary to international law, will violate the sovereignty of member states and people's natural law. So we declare every document that comes out of this house or any other treaty like the White Bow null and void since at least 2019, if not very long time ago. Get back your sovereignty and refuse the private sector.
Hi, I'm Ezra Levant from Canada. I'm with Rebel News. Rebel News is an independent media organization. Our motto is telling the other side of the story. We've been skeptics of the lockdown since the beginning, and when we heard about this rally today, we wanted to be here. So we're here to report the news, and we also have a petition. at nopandemictreaty.com.
My name is Montgomery Toms, I'm 19, I'm from the UK. I've been fighting relentlessly against the education system in the United Kingdom since I was about 14 when lockdown first hit. Since that point I've been trying my best to connect with the youth, but now suddenly I've come into this environment where internationally we have grouped together collectively to say no to the international health regulations that are being pushed forward by the World Health Organization. It's important that young people, especially of my generation, come forward and say no to these awful global authoritarian control systems and organizations. And with that in mind, I've come today with some of my fellow comrades from the United Kingdom, where we've been also campaigning relentlessly in London against this international health regulation.
Sérgio Tavares, repórter independente, estou aqui em Genebra, aqui bem junto à OMS, à ONU, para este protesto mundial que junta amantes da liberdade de todo o mundo, que vem gritar não à tirania sanitária, não à escravidão sanitária promovida por estas instituições que ninguém elegeu, ninguém os elegeu, instituições promíscuas, corruptas, que tomaram várias medidas insanas que violaram todos os nossos direitos. E então estão aqui amantes da liberdade que vêm dizer não à OMS, sim à liberdade, e vêm pedir responsabilidades a quem então violou todos os nossos direitos e, portanto, vem também aqui mostrar aquilo que as televisões escondem, porque se não formos nós, repórteres independentes, as pessoas não vão saber nada, as televisões não vão mostrar nada, porque as televisões fazem parte da mesma agenda deles. E por isso estamos aqui em Genebra, nesta festa da liberdade, onde nos sentimos que não estamos sozinhos, onde sentimos que há esperança, onde assistimos a este acordar, este despertar, e onde é maravilhoso. Está aqui Portugal, está Brasil, está a Espanha, estão aqui vários países, várias nações, e é este o caminho. Liberdade sim, OMS não.
Bem, estava há várias semanas à espera que chegasse este momento, sobretudo, não só para encontrar esta reunião maravilhosa de espíritos livres, de resistentes, de pessoas que acreditam no amor, na verdade e na liberdade, mas sobretudo porque em 2021, quando escrevi este livro, escrito em 2021, um ano depois da pandemia estourar, publiquei-o em 2022, mas quando o escrevi sentia que estava sozinho no mundo. Em 2022, quando o apresentei, percebi que não estava sozinho, mas hoje, passados 3 anos desde que o escrevi, olho à volta e só vejo pessoas despertas, acordadas, e somos nós, e é da nossa união e das nossas relações que vamos fazer com que o mundo mude. Somos nós que vamos ser os grandes agentes da mudança que o mundo precisa. Nada de mentira, mais verdade e o medo a ser derrotado pelo amor. Liberdade, liberdade.
Magazine, it means instead of newspaper. I used to be a mainstream media journalist. Now I'm a free and independent journalist. And I'm here to remind us all that our brother Julian Assange needs to be free. In London, the freedom of the speech is in prison. In London, the free press is in prison. In London, Julian Assange is in the fucking prison. So let us make all together a huge statement to free the Julian Assange. Free Assange. I say free Assange. Free Assange.
To talk about taking control of our future. The idea and the concept that the men and women behind those walls will ever change their behavior to serve us is faulty at best. They will always act in self-interest and self-gain. But we are the 8 billion people of the world. When we unite, they lose their power. On this day, we rescind our consent for them to have any power over us. Yesterday, we brought in leaders, 100 different leaders in the freedom movement from all around the world. We teamed up with the Japanese rallies that are happening the same weekend because we are all fighting the same battle. And simultaneously, it's time to transition our fight. It's time to start creating. We can create the future we want. Our children rely on us. The future generations deserve a better society, and the power is ours to create it. On this day, we accept the change belongs to us, and we will move together into the future with love, unity, and freedom.
So it's my honour now to introduce a fellow British activist who's been a medical doctor now for many years, an award-winning cardiologist and an international expert on prevention of heart disease. He's been calling for greater transparency for many years now. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Aseem Malhotra. a complete healthcare system failure and a pandemic of misinformed doctors and misinformed and unwittingly harmed patients. Why? Rooted in a biased funding of research. Research that's funded because it's likely to be profitable, not beneficial for patients. Biased reporting in medical journals. Biased reporting in the media. Commercial conflicts of interest. And last but not least, an inability of doctors to be able to comprehend and then communicate health statistics. Prior to the pandemic, the third most common cause of death, prescribed medications. What your doctor prescribes for you because of largely avoidable side effects. Not only did the World Health Organization do nothing about this, they made global health worse during the pandemic. They supported coercion and mandates of the most horrific pharmaceutical product in the history of medicine, responsible for serious harm and death to millions around the globe. And they have still not said sorry. The world deserves an apology from the World Health Organization. And why did they do this? Because for decades, increasingly, they have been a puppet for corporate, tyrannical psychopaths. The second largest funder of the World Health Organization, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill Gates, who made $500 million investing in this horrific medical product, the COVID mRNA vaccine. But they can only succeed if we let them. And we are not going to let them. Rights are only won by those that make their voices heard. The most important radical thing we can do is a non-violent, just say no, do not comply. We are here to represent 8 billion people here today, and all of you are standing up with courage. So I thank you for your courage. Thank you, Dr. Asim Malhotra.
Olá pessoal, John Carlos JK Samurai aqui, direto de Genebra, na porta da OMS, nesse evento que estamos realizando aqui com médicos, cientistas, jornalistas, advogados do mundo todo. Estamos todos aqui para dar um basta nesse projeto totalitário da OMS e desses da Big Pharma. Né? Temos que dar um grito de liberdade. E o Brasil está passando por um momento mais complicado do mundo, obrigando seus pais a vacinarem, inocularem com esse experimento as suas crianças. O Brasil não pode ser o único país do mundo a coagir, pressionar e processar os pais porque não estão inoculando seus filhos. Então estamos aqui representando o Brasil e também o Japão para dar esse grito de liberdade. No WHO. Como vocês devem estar acompanhando, o Tratado Pandêmico da OMS está cada vez mais perdendo musculatura. Ontem no Japão tivemos uma manifestação com mais de 50 mil pessoas em frente ao prédio do Ministério da Saúde. Então o mundo todo está dizendo não a esse tratado totalitário pandêmico do TEDros.
Doctors, journalists, and activists, all united to raise awareness among people from every corner of the world about the implications of the pandemic treaty. On June 1, 2024, in Geneva, thousands of people gathered to form a mass willing to fight for this cause. This gathering held special significance, taking place in front of the UN and WHO headquarters, highlighting the global concern. The global movement has led to the postponement of the treaty's signing, exposing hidden objectives and creating pressure for thorough discussion. Should member countries eventually sign this treaty, the centralization of power over these nations could result in chaos in public health and directly impact millions of lives globally.
Billion brothers and sisters. My name is Dr. Asim Malhotra, consultant cardiologist. I wish to tell you that, sadly, you are the victims of a mass misinformation campaign rooted and started by the drug industry who, although you may believe have good intentions, are only designed to make as much money as possible by deception. And unfortunately, the biggest crime that we have seen in modern medicine has occurred from these drug companies with the rollout of the COVID vaccine. That's had very little benefit and is unfortunately responsible for the deaths and serious harm to millions of people around the globe. The most important thing is to start asking the right questions, and I would urge you just to say no until we can remove commercial influence of the pharmaceutical industry over medical decision making. We must not comply. We gathered here today to basically, doctors, activists, lawyers, journalists are gathered here today to speak to thousands here to oppose the takeover by the World Health Organization over our health. The World Health Organization, while they're being funded by commercial entities, in particular Bill Gates, cannot and should not be trusted.
Hi, I'm Steve Kirsch. I'm one of the world's top misinformation super spreaders. You know, I've collected data for the last 2 years, and all the data shows that these vaccines have killed more people than they've saved. In fact, they haven't saved anyone. So please, don't get the COVID vaccine, don't get any vaccine, stay unvaccinated. Thank you.
Individual freedom is far more important than anything else. We need not to bow to communists, we need to bow not to fascists. We need to know and remember that every citizen on this planet is an individual with human rights, to stand up for their right to self-determination, to stand up against illegal government actions that are trying to restrict our freedoms. We in the United States have a constitution that's been violated, constitutions around the world have been violated. We need to get back to valuing human life. Human life is the most important thing. We need to get rid of leaders that don't value humanity. I think we are. We're facing an attack with experimental drugs, with experimental injections that are genes, they're not vaccines. These are genes, and the people are being lied to. Words are being redefined by fascists, and we need to stand up for our... If we individually don't stand up, if we don't stand up in community, then we fall apart as nations and we fall apart as worlds. We should never grant power to those who don't value life. Never let your child get any of these genetic injections, ever. They're unproven, they're untested. The Brazilian people are beautiful, your nation is beautiful, the people are better than this. You guys need to stand up and fight.
Secure for separate the parents from their children. How about that? Okay. I want to invite the Brazilian poor communities leaders from favelas for joining us and save their children, all right? Okay, and let's send a message to WHO. So, repeat it after me. Okay, we all know they committed crimes against humanity! Crimes against humanity! Okay, no WHO! No WHO! Louder! No WHO! No WHO! Last one. No WHO! No WHO! Freedom! Freedom!
Thank you. Great energy as well, everyone. Thank you so much.
The organization?
I'm from the Inspired Network, which is supporting this event.
So, we are the change. This is another chapter of the change.
This is another chapter of the change because it's the chapter, this is really the turning point in the trajectory of the world. This full week, the WHA was behind closed doors making decisions and policies that affect every single citizen on Earth. And this is the day where we decide, the last day of their week, the closing of World Health Assembly Week, marks the beginning of our future. It's the day we decide that they no longer matter and we are the ones who are in control of our destiny. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Both sides think they represent the future. Both sides think that they're battling evil to save the world. All involved passionately believe they fight for the common good. On one side, with a sense of noblesse oblige, a transnational elite works to advance a unified, globalized, centralized political and economic world order. A world order based on a command economy rooted in massive databases, predictive artificial intelligence-driven decision-making, and the merging of man and machine to create a new species. Fulfilling this objective is believed to require universal surveillance, propaganda powered by modern psychology, algorithmic censorship, cultural homogenization, and centralized automated economic controls and resource allocation. I believe this will be a digital, technocratic, and bureaucratic hell.
Not only that, but we will not cower or be cowards in this moment because we were born ready for today. We are born ready to speak our truth. We're born ready to stare tyranny in the face and challenge it. We're born ready to be that light and to be that truth in this world, in this time of darkness. We're the ones born ready to be resilient. We're born ready to use every one of our gifts and our talents and who we are to be in this moment, stand in this day, and be the resilient people that we are and resist any.
He takes care of children. I love it so much when especially the pediatricians stand up, because I was missing them to stand up over the last years. Thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, Geneva. Bonsoir. It's fantastic to be here. I'm very honored to be here in this historical moment. And I would like to share this very quick speech for you. Today, we gather here in the Mecca of global bureaucracy to defend medical freedom and national sovereignty. The world's leading health authority, the WHO, sponsored the gross mismanagement of COVID-era health policy, which will have generational consequences. We must not allow them to make the same mistakes for future health contingencies. This treaty Merci bien. This treaty is not a symbol of global cooperation, as some would like us to believe. It is a manifesto of global authoritarianism. We recognize that this treaty represents a trample on our civil liberties and a complete disregard of fundamental human rights. This international organization, which once was regarded as an authority on the issues, now serves only to impose regulations and violate the sovereignty of national governments. They intended to use the pandemic as a pretext to impose authoritarian and erroneous policies on the global population. They promoted and enforced the anti-human effort of mass vaccination, and now want to subject the entire world to this unitary and uniform agenda of evil. Gracias. We must not bow down to an institution led by individuals with no regard for human autonomy. Medical freedom is not only a concept, medical freedom is a human right. International institutions must not infringe on these fundamental principles. We must transform health policies to embrace the vision of true health care, to replace the sick care system that is in place today. I implore governments and heads of states to heed to our calling, to listen to our voices, and recognize that sovereignty as nations, as individuals, and as patients is not negotiable. Thank you so much. Merci bien. Au revoir.
Bueno, primero que nada, muchas gracias por la oportunidad, por la entrevista. Es muy desafortunado lo que está pasando en diferentes partes del mundo, incluyendo Brasil, por este tipo de mandatos que están haciendo particularmente con los niños. Pero quisiera decir antes de eso, para todo el mundo, que esta ha sido la peor catástrofe de salud pública en la historia de la humanidad. Y digo salud pública entre comillas porque nada tuvo que ver con salud pública. Esto fue una agenda política, una agenda perniciosa, una agenda que confundió a la humanidad, que secuestró el espíritu de la humanidad y por esa razón existe una inconformidad mundial en la sociedad, porque día a día nos damos cada vez más cuenta de todos los errores que estas personas cometieron. Por eso estamos aquí en Ginebra, en frente de las Naciones Unidas, diciéndole no solamente a estas organizaciones, pero a la Organización Mundial de la Salud, porque ellos desafortunadamente desinformaron a la gente, afectaron a la gente y hoy estamos viviendo las consecuencias de una atrocidad que se hizo contra la humanidad. 100%. Lo que necesitamos, no solamente en México, en Brasil, en Sudamérica, Centroamérica, el mundo entero, necesitamos liderazgos reales, liderazgos que tengan un corazón, que tengan a Dios en su corazón, que promuevan la familia, que promuevan los valores y que quieran un mundo mejor para todos. Estamos viviendo un tiempo de convulsión, de confusión social y este es el momento de levantar la voz entre todos, unificarnos y salir adelante como una sociedad que tiene la voluntad de salir adelante con los principios cristianos.
Because the truth just sounds better. Every one of you sharing the truth when you hear it, telling everyone you know. They say, at least back in America, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So I want you to think today, are you using your freedom? Are you using your voice? Because if you are being silent, you have already let them take it away. You must now recognize that your voice matters, that we matter, that we are strong, we are people, we are the people of the world, and we are here, present and accountable. Today we have won. Today they've sailed their ships away from our shores that they have been attacking, but they are not leaving forever. They are regrouping. So grab your surfboards, grab your paddleboards, grab your jet skis and your boats, and let's go get them and finish this once and for all. We will never comply. No one has ever complied themselves out of tyranny. If you wore the mask, just say, I will never do it again. If you were silent and you bended the knee, just say, I will never do it again. And whatever you do, when you find yourself wondering, what is your purpose in this world? Recognize that you are alive at the most important time in human history. where we are moments away from these people trying to take everything that we know to be dear, all of our freedom, all of our liberty, tracking us on cameras, on every pole, on the streets that we're on. We will either win or we will live on our knees. So when you ask yourself why you're here, remember to tell yourself, because of freedom! 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 Don't ever let them take it away!
When the same body that is designed to protect the people becomes the body that people need protection against, there is a problem. With this conviction, we gather united in this moment. Despite the tragedies and maladies of the past, we still hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, in full recognition that the powers granted to global entities and governments worldwide are derived from the consent of the governed. On this day, we rescind our consent. We stand here today in a proclamation of humanity, a proclamation for a better world, guided by the principles of our Creator, and rooted in the shared values of the human experience. We gather here today to reclaim our cultural identities and personal liberties, and to reclaim stewardship of the earth, which we have borrowed from our children and perpetually maintain responsibility for now and forever.
We are here in Geneva at the march of the We Are the Change rally. It's amazing. It's amazing to get to know people from all across the world. Thank you for so many Portuguese who showed up, and I can't wait to stay in contact with you guys. Oh, well, I'm an Austrian doctor, and I'm also a candidate for the EU elections, and I lost my job when I was speaking up in the crazy times in Austria. And you probably know we already had the mandatory vaccination in place, and we had a lockdown for the unvaccinated. And I spoke up especially against the COVID-19 jabs for kids. And I did videos with some other colleagues and with lawyers. And of course what happened next, like mainstream media was discrediting us, and you know the story because you had hard lockdowns and vaccination push in Portugal as well. But you know, I knew that at some point I was organizing big rallies in Vienna and in Graz, my hometown, with tens of thousands of people. And we have great independent media friends. But now that I did some events in the EU Parliament with Mislav Kolakusic, Christian Terres, and you know the rebellious MEPs, they said I should run for the EU elections, which I do right now. And so first time what happened lately, which is great, I could speak in mainstream media, so I could spread the word that Tedros used to be in this terrorist organization, TPLF. It's the Tigray People's Liberation Front. I could say that on mainstream media as an EU candidate now, which is great, so I hope I make it there. And talking about what I did and what I do, we had a big Who is the Who rally in Vienna on October 1st. So I decided that day with my friend Philip Kruse, who was there as well, We will go on 1st of June to Geneva, so I kind of had this idea of this rally today, and Philip and the wonderful people from all around the world helped us that we can build this momentum. You guys all came, and so we are having a great rally here with a great statement throughout the world. Yes. The message, and here comes Dr. Andrea Nazarenko. She's my friend. She's a psychologist from the United States, and she built with my friend Susie Olsen-Corrigan back there the Inspired Network. So our true from the heart wish is that people feel encouraged and feel the unity to really make the change in the world. And Andrea has to say something because she had the idea that we declare our independence on rally stage. So if you have for our friend from Portugal a message as well.
Without a doubt, what Maria said is absolutely true. If we want to create a better tomorrow, if we want to be able to have a better society that matches our values and represents the voice of the people, we can't wait for other people to do that for us. The onus is on us to make the change. We really, truly are the change we want to see in the world.
Olá Brasil, dia 1 de junho de 2024, estamos terminando aqui o rally, a marcha aqui em Genebra, que foi realizado um evento aqui na praça em frente às Nações Unidas, ao lado da OMS. Estamos aqui para lutar pelas crianças do Brasil, pelos bebês, pelo direito dos pais sobre os filhos, pela autonomia médica também. Porque o Brasil não pode ser o único país do planeta que está obrigando, forçando bebês de 6 meses a crianças com menos de 5 anos de idade a inocularem esse experimento de terapia genética. Não tem nenhum país do mundo que obrigou ou está obrigando para entrar nas escolas. Então, o Brasil precisa reagir, os pais precisam lutar pelos seus filhos e as próximas gerações.
After the conclusion of the rally and demonstration on the streets of Geneva, the organizers gather for a relaxed yet focused conversation. Their sights are set on the next significant event. A subsequent rally is scheduled for late September 2024 in the United States of America. Further details regarding the specific location and date will be provided soon. Please stay tuned for more information. This upcoming demonstration aims to once again show the world that we are responsible for our lives in all aspects. Losing our individual freedom and the sovereignty of our nations is not an option. It is up to us to ensure that this does not happen. With renewed energy and determination, the organizers discuss strategies to amplify their message, mobilize even more supporters, and create a global movement that cannot be ignored. They understand that the fight for our rights and freedoms is far from over, and the stakes are too high to remain silent. As they plan for the New York event, the message is clear. United, we stand stronger. The power lies in our hands to protect our freedoms and the sovereignty of our countries. This is our moment to make a difference, to show the world that we will not be passive in the face of threats to our liberties. We must act decisively and collectively to ensure that our voices are heard, our rights are safeguarded, and our future is secure. The journey continues, and with each step, we move closer to a world where our individual freedoms and national sovereignties are respected and upheld.
Hoje não tremem os dedos.
Vai ser um documentário.
Hoje não tremem os dedos, é?
Documentário.
Vamos embora, vamos embora.
Fala quem você é, de onde é, o que você está fazendo aqui.
Eu não sei quem sou, não sei o que vim aqui fazer. Arrastaram-me aqui. Olha, eu para mim, vacinar sempre, máscaras, confinamentos. Eu acho que não podemos facilitar. Viva Tedros, viva a OMS! Pronto. Agora a sério.